Hello students, welcome to our online classes. We had started chapter 2 from history class 7, the regional kingdoms. In the previous video we discussed about the Rajputs, the Tomars, Solankis, Parmars, Chandels, Palas and the Gurjar Pratihars and administration during this period. In in today's video, we will discuss about the Deccan rurals, basically Rajputs, Chaluks, Pandyas, Pallavs, South Indian rurals, and their administration. Let's start today's topic, Deccan. The area between the Narmada and Krishna river is known as the Deccan. The Rajputs were very powerful here. The Sanskrit word Rashtra means territory and Kuta means chieftain. The Rajputas were the chieftains in central India. Chieftains means the rurals in the central area. Danti Durga was the founder of this dynasty. Rajput rurals were able administrators and great warriors. Warrior means a soldier. Next one is the Chaluks of Kalyani. The Chaluks of Kalyani were also known as the Western Chaluks. The great ruler was Vikramang. So the great ruler of Chaluks are Vikramang. He and his successor built many temples at Badami and Padakkal. Next ruler is Kaktiyas of Warangal. The Kaktiyas ruled in 12th and 13th centuries. Their kingdom lay between the Godavari and Krishna river, and the Deccan, basically the South Indian rurals located their kingdom located between Narmada and Krishna rivers. So the Kaktiyas kingdom lay between the Godavari and Krishna river. The rurals patronized Sanskrit and Telugu. Patronize meaning the support, especially a financial, that is given by a important person, basically a king. In early 14th century, the kingdom was conquered by the sultans of Delhi. Conquered means to take control over a region by a force. South India. There were three powerful kingdoms in the south. What are the three powerful kingdoms? The Pallavas, Pandyas and Cholas. So, Pallavas. The Pallavas rurals were the South India during the period of 6th century and 8th century AD, and their capital was Kachi. Pallavas were great patrons of art and architecture. Mahendravarman and Narasimhavarman were the most powerful rulers of Pallav dynasty. The Shore Temple at Mahabalipuram and Kailashnath Temple at Kanchi were constructed by the Pallavas. So the capital is Kanchi, and the great rurals are Mahendravarman and Narasimhavarman, and Pallavas were great patrons of art and architecture, and the Shore Temple at Mahabalipuram and Kailashnath Temple were constructed by the Pallavas. Next one is Pandyas. The Pandyas ruled the region around the present day Madurai, which was their capital. So the capital of Pandyas is Madurai. Look at this map. This map shows the Pandyas empire. It was Madurai was an important center of learning. Marco Polo visited the Pandya's kingdom. The kingdom declined in 14th century. The Cholas. The Chols established a powerful empire in South India. Rajaraja Chol was a brilliant commander and he defeated the Pandyas and the Cheras. Rajendra Chol was a Rajraja's son. He succeeded his father to the throne. Rajendra Chol made the empire even more powerful, and the Chol administration was well organized, and administration was carried out by village assembly called UR, Sabha and Nagagram. So UR was the village assembly, Sabha was the assembly of learned people, and Nagaram and Nagaram consisted of merchant traders and artisans. This is evident to show they had a good local self-government. So the Cholas have the good local self-government. And what about the Chol literature? Many literary and religious work were translated from Sanskrit into Tamil, Telugu and Kannada. Kamban, the great writer of this period, wrote the Ramayana in Tamil, and the Mahabharata was translated into Telugu during Chol Empire. Turkish invasion. Mahmud of Ghazni. Mahmud was a ruler of Ghazni, now located in Afghanistan. He needed a large army to make Ghazni the most powerful kingdom in the region. He had heard about the wealth of the kingdoms of North India. So, he decided to raid India to collect money to raise a large army. Mahmud Ghazni wants to create a large army for becoming the most powerful kingdom in the region. In a span of 26 years, 1000 to 1026, Mahmud Ghazni invaded India 17 times. His early raids were against the Hindu Shahi rulers of Punjab. He defeated Jaipal and Anandpal and got a large tribute from them. He also attacked the rich temples towns of India. He raided Mathura and Kannauj and Somnath. The Somnath temple in Gujarat was stripped at the the Somnath temple in Gujarat was stripped of all its wealth. Even the precious stones embedded in the temple's wall were taken out, and Mahmud carried away all the booty to the Ghazni, where he built a beautiful library museum. And Mahmud died in 1030. Now, Mahmud Ghori. The Ghor was a small kingdom in present-day Afghanistan like a Ghazni. Mahmud Ghazni has defeated the ruler of Ghor and had made him his vassal. After Mahmud's death, the Ghaznavid became weak, and taking advantage of this, Muizuddin Mahmud made Ghor independent once again. He also annexed all Ghaznavid territories, and Muizuddin Mahmud is popularly known in history as Muhammad Ghori. And Muhammad Ghori was a general under the Ghori dynasty. Gaur in Afghanistan was a vassal state of Ghazni Empire. So today's question is, what is a vassal state? When the Ghajnis started weakening, the Ghoris declared their independence in 1160 AD. And in 1173 AD, Muhammad Ghori became governor of the province of Ghazni. He then conquered Multan, Peshawar, and Lahore. So, this is all about this chapter. One more topic is there, the causes of the defeats of Indian rurals. The research shows that the Turks did not have superior weapons, but their horses were fast and the archers were skilled. The main reason for the success of Turks in India was the lack of unity among the Rajput chiefs. Also, the Turkish army was better organized and better mounted than the Indian forces. So, this chapter is over now. Thank you, students. हो गया मेरा इसका क्वेश्चन करना, 2 चैप्टर के क्वेश्चन आंसर करना।